Shana Tova, good morning. I hope your beginning for 5781 has been terrific and wonderful and full exuberance and hope. And hope is very, very important for all of us. And we know that during these times of COVID, during these times of unemployment, these times of civil unrest, these times when many factions within our country are at odds with one another. And so as we begin this year, I want to talk to you about some wonderful moments of hope. With the last iteration of Litakein, our educational director, Gal Kessler-Rose, and I, with 7 of our teenagers, visited Washington, D.C. for a 4-day seminar on social action. We visited the Martin Luther King Memorial. The centerpiece is an impressive 30-foot tall mound of granite with the words engraved upon it, "Out of the mountain of despair, there is a stone of hope." Martin Luther King taught his followers that beyond the darkness of despair was the light of hope for a better future. And this now is a time of despair on many levels in our country. After the great pandemic of 1918, my father and his family left Russia. It took courage for his family to take the long journey that began with a horse and a wagon. Without optimistic visioning, they could have never left the dark and hopeless situation they had in Russia to go toward the bright shores of the Golden Medina, America. The words of the prophet Jeremiah were also born out of some of the bleakest moments of Jewish history. With the temple destroyed, the nation devastated by destruction and death, our people exiled to Babylonia, our people were dismayed, they were heartbroken. Our ancestors most likely feared that God had been defeated and Israel was doomed to disappear. At precisely that moment of greatest despair, Jeremiah proclaimed, "Yesh tikva lanu," there is hope. And we know that hope, though delayed, was realized once again. Today, there is much that leaves us uneasy, frightened and living with the varying amounts of trepidation. We have Russia now who continues to meddle in our election, to offer bounties on our US troops. The clashes between police and our citizens have become too violent and way too frequent. There are plentiful social, economic, medical, and political reasons enough for deep despair. Personal worries abound. Who is not worried about COVID-19 and the hundreds of thousands who are still suffering after months of post-recovery, and the nearly 200,000 plus people whose lives have been ended by this insidious pandemic? A year ago, we were worried about our computers, our cell phone security, our credit cards, and our personal identity being compromised. Probably most of us at some time have felt as if we did not want to get out of bed to face some of the daily responsibilities and frustrations. If we're fortunate enough to have a spouse, a friend, or perhaps a parent who can remind us that in the past, we too have successfully overcome difficult challenges. If there is an individual who can gently point out positive experiences we had in the past while encouraging us to be mindful of special occasions to which we can look forward. If there is someone who can reassure us that there is reason to be hopeful, that we may be better able to weather the present darkness and believe that there will be a brighter tomorrow. Then our confidence in our inner resources and our own strength and in our capacity to live meaningful lives will be increased. Then we too will hear and heed Jeremiah's message. There is hope for the future. But hope alone is not enough. Dr. King and the prophet Jeremiah certainly knew that hope was necessary but not sufficient, because hope is passive while determination requires activeness. Hope may leave us waiting for others to make the changes and to solve our problems. But determination energizes us to act in ways that will lift us out of our doldrums and change our situation. Among us today are some whose worries are great, whose sorrows are deep, and whose fears are daunting. Others may feel unfulfilled and lonely, without direction or purpose. Overworked, overscheduled, ever so many seem never disconnected from their internet or their computers. They're juggling a host of responsibilities. Many are too exhausted to enjoy what is around them. Faced with ailments, with the death of loved ones, by relationships that are failing, buffeted by economic concerns, are overwhelmed with too many choices, but too many limitations. This leads us towards going inward and to shut down. But always we should remember that when hope is linked with determination, we are more likely to transcend uncertainty, to persevere in spite of perceived danger, and to act as if the future is bright rather than dark. Similarly, those who are presently contented and untroubled should also understand that hope and determination can together move any of us to greater engagement with those around us and bring us added satisfaction and joy. From where can we derive such hope and determination? Where can we find the motivation and the courage to act in new ways that will increase the meaning, the direction, and the spirit of our lives? From what sources can we nourish our spirits as to renew our days so as to become more vital, more enchanted with possibilities than we had been in previous days? One answer was given by the great sage Hillel, who said, Al tifros min hatzipur. Don't separate yourself from your community. And I believe Hillel was saying much more than not to be a hermit. His words are an affirmation that there is strength in being part of a community, and there is a positive effect that connecting with others has for both the individual and the life of the community. Yes, the community is enhanced when people join it, but it is also true that joining with others, we ourselves have benefits. Establishing new or deeper relationships and serving a greater vision of ourselves can have a really uplifting impact that can change us for the better and can improve our perspective on the world. I've seen that, for example, among those coming to minions or meditations may feel awkward at first, but soon they're more comfortable and they come to understand that we are not alone, and they may soon find themselves relating to others and to offer consolation, to offer support, to offer camaraderie. Likewise, one who survives serious illness often dedicates themselves to helping others find their own spirits uplifted. When determination leads us to help others or to involve ourselves with efforts to strengthen the community or to make a contribution to society, we view ourselves differently. If we are in contact with those who are homebound, our own problems will seem less overwhelming. Sitting with those sitting those who've been brought low by grief, we may cherish more the days we have, whether they be few or many. Joining a synagogue committee or participating in the good work of our sisterhood or the men's club, coming here to study, to sing, to pray, to contribute, so that we can connect with others, makes our lives richer. Volunteer to be more active in roles that are charitable, political, social, communal. We can become more active participants in the politics of our own government. We can be social activists, or we can be helping hands. Doing these things reinforces our awareness that we do have the power. We do have the power to alter lives and to improve society. When we act in these ways, we will think far more positively about our own life and become more attuned to what makes for meaningful living. While the high holy days ask us to turn inward to consider the nature of our lives. They also encourage us to open wider the window of our hearts, to better respond to the world around us, to see more clearly how our deeds can impact others, and recognize within all our fellow human beings the spark of God. By our involvement with others, by acting on behalf of others, by giving ourselves to raise them up, by connecting with our community and strengthening it, we cause the flame of God's Spirit to glow more brightly. That in turn lifts up, renews our faith in the substance and significance of our own behavior, and reassures us that we do have an important role to play in 5781, if we will it. May our prayers lead us to affirm Yesh Tichva. There can be greater hope, purpose, and meaning to our lives. May our worship help us to recall that God has faith in our ability to be his agents, that God believes in our power to reshape our individual lives in this world with hope and determination and deeds. And since God has such confidence in us, let us also have the same confidence in ourselves and our ability to multiply goodness and blessings in the world. Then with hope and determination and our actions, this new year will be one of meaning and blessing for us and for all the families of our community, our nation, and the world. Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Yameinu, renew ourselves and our days of our lives with optimism, determination, and healing for the lives of those about us as we begin 5781. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu, our Father, our King, hear our prayers. Shana Mituka.